Ultimately, senior executives talked about, quote, feeding congressional trolls and compared their situation to children's book, quote, if you give a mouse a cookie. All right, so moving on more into the political realm, instead of like, we're an hour and 40 minutes in, and we're finally going to get onto this. Let's see. There are two leaks that I want to get in. So, have a dice set made of glass? Hell yeah. Sorority knows what's up. Look sharp. I would play Drakensong with Sorority. Sorority seems like she was a good rule nerd when we did play D&D back in the before times.
The one session we got through with Tailspire.
We got through 2 sessions of Tailspire.
True. Oh yeah, we did.
And we did a couple on tabletop.
Tailspire was so much fun. I would re-download it just so I can build cities and shit.
I would love to. I don't want to DM anymore, but if I found a DM, I would do it. But no, I'm just saying Sorority is the type of person that could learn Drakensong if she wanted to, because she's a pretty good rule lawyer. She'd be like, no, that's not how that works. I mean, yeah, but it takes a while. It took me a long time to get through this book. Nevertheless, we are going to shake it off. We're going to move into politics. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to move into the Twitter files and the Facebook leaks. The Twitter files just dropped today, so I have not seen them. They dropped a couple hours before stream. As long as I don't eat the Game Master's brains like the Swedish black metal band did with their hot frontman.
I think he's referencing the horror RPG that Shadow Warden's talking about.
So we're going to look at this, and then where are the Twitter files? So what do you guys want first? You guys want the Facebook COVID leaks, or do you guys want the Twitter files?
Ones or twos.
No, not ones or two. I don't know. One is Facebook. 2 is Twitter files. One's in chat for Facebook leaks. 2's for Twitter files. We're going to do them both. What do you want, Mark?
Last time I picked wrong, so I'm gonna let chat have it.
That was true. Between twerking and Jewish conspiracy, and you were like, well, let's save the hot twerking for later, and the Jewish conspiracy was the hot one, and the other one was so just hot. Cringe. Oh fuck. All right, so it looks like you guys don't care, so whatever order they come up in. Let's go with Facebook. So for Michael Shellenberger, you'll know him from one of the Twitter files as well, presumably. Looking at his page, he is pro-civilization, time, hero of the environment, best-selling author of Apocalypse Never and San Francisco. 553K followers. Pretty decent journalist. So, this is insane. And I'm so glad that Mark hasn't seen this, because I feel like, Mark, you're about to lose your shit.
Oh, I think he talked about this on Rogan not too long ago, and I listened to it.
Probably not. Many think social media companies only censored vaccine misinformation. But a recently released email shows Facebook reassuring the White House that they were censoring, quote, often true content, end quote. That, quote, does not contain actionable misinformation, but was discouraging vaccines.
Ooh.
We all know this. Everyone knows this. Currently, I can't upload any of our stuff on YouTube. By the way, make sure you're following the YouTube, because we will be uploading stuff this weekend. At least some stuff, and probably getting a good chunk of stuff into next week. Because we have a community guideline strike. So for medical misinformation on YouTube. Yeah, nobody's surprised. We all know that this is true, but I'm really glad to see documents showing that they're just admitting that on behalf of the coercive state, they're censoring information so they can protect big pharma and tell you to shut up and get the jab, bigot.
It feels like a lot of people don't care about this, though.
You say that, but it's got 14,000 retweets. 766 quote tweets, 50,000 likes. Doing pretty good. Andy, so this is just the email. Fuck it, we'll read the whole email. Thanks for taking the time to connect on Friday. Per our discussion, I wanted to follow up with next steps. Consistent product team, point of contact. As discussed, we will make blank, who has been coordinating the product work that matters most to your teams, available on a regular basis. If it makes sense, we can schedule some time for blank to connect with you and or Rob and whomever else makes sense early this week. Sharing additional data. Blank mentioned the new internal analytics that we are developing to help us understand and monitor the most viral COVID vaccine-related content. This is a top priority for us, and we will keep you updated on our progress and when we expect to be able to share the data with you. So, just wanted to touch bases. We'll make sure that we keep monitoring it. We'll share all the information with you. It's a top priority for us. We got to make sure that the state is aware of all of the censorship we're doing and on your behalf. Levers for tracking vaccine hesitancy content. You also asked about our levers for reducing virality of vaccine hesitancy content. In addition to policies previously discussed, these include the additional changes that were approved late last week and will be implementing over the coming weeks. As you know, in addition to removing vaccine misinformation, we've been focusing on reducing the virality of content, discouraging vaccines that does not contain actionable misinformation. So this is Facebook telling the government that they're actively censoring things that contain zero amounts of misinformation, but don't go but don't align with the state's desires for the control of your life and to get big pharma rich. This is often true content, which we allow at the post level because experts have advised us that it's important for people to be able to discuss both their personal experiences and concerns about the vaccine. But it can be framed as sensation, alarmist, or shocking. We'll remove these groups, pages, and accounts when they are disproportionately promoting this sensationalized content. More on this front as we proceed to implement. So, we're going to censor you if you say anything counter to the narrative. And if you talk about it too much so that you might get popular, despite the fact that we're trying to censor you and keep you from becoming popular, we want to let the government know that we will ban these accounts for not violating any TOS in any way, shape, or form, and for zero amounts of medical misinformation because they happen to disagree with Klaus Schwab.
I mean, only a fool would disagree with Klaus Schwab, right?
This is what these companies think about you, that you have the wrong opinion and they need to do everything they can to secretly silence you.
Correct you, I believe is what you meant to say.
I don't have any alarms on my end, Silver Ogre. Sensational equals bad. I seem to remember reading how COVID was going to kill millions on millions.
Well, that was just the truth. That's what the models predicted.
This is how angry, this is how upsetting this information is We Love Mark from Fabian Liberty had to break character. WhatsApp. Finally, Blank mentioned that policies that apply to WhatsApp. WhatsApp approach to misinformation focuses on limiting the virality of messages, preventing coordinated abuse, and empowering users to seek out reliable sources of information both in and out of the product. Our product includes features to limit the spread of viral content, such as forward limits and labels, privacy settings to help users decide who can add them to groups, and simple ways for users to block accounts and make reports to WhatsApp if they encounter problematic messages. Problematic does a lot of the work here too.
Yeah, because like that could mean, threats of violence and abuse, or someone just saying like, maybe you shouldn't get the vax if you're, a 19-year-old boy.
Mm-hmm. Additional limitations we place in April 2020 on forwarding of messages that have been forwarded many times reduce these kinds of messages by over 70%. So
That's
when your
a
grandma
substantial,
hits you up with, I heard Hillary Clinton's a reptile, please forward this message, it'll stop it from being able to be forwarded. Along with these commitments, we'll continue to provide updated data from our COVID-19 symptom survey, and we'd be happy to walk through this data with our research director if helpful. Thanks again, and please let us know if there's anything I'm missing or can follow up to clarify. Facebook works with your government to censor you actively. Facebook is in violation of the First Amendment. They have committed treason. Mark Zuckerberg has committed treason against the American public. I don't know what that means. I only know that he is actively, and he and his company have actively sought out to commit treason against the United States citizens. Now, I'm an anarchist, right? And so I would prefer that we dissolve the state, as a libertarian, and allow the free market to be able to handle these situations. However, I think at a minimum, Facebook should be sued out of existence for the fraud that it's committed, lying about the way that they censor this information. But at a maximum, if we were just going to go by the laws of the land, there's really only one punishment for treason. Well, there's two, right? Death by firing squad or hanging. So my question is when is the American government going to be consistent with the laws of the land and make sure that we draw a quarter and put Mark Zuckerberg in a firing line?
Well,
I'm not advocating violence. I'm just asking, when are we going to be consistent with the laws of the Constitution and the land?
That thing all the politicians swore to uphold from all enemies, foreign and domestic.
Right? I mean, it's a violation of the First Amendment. They conspired with state actors to censor Americans' voices on things that they knew were not falsities, right? Just things that they disagreed with so that we could protect corporations. So, like, when are we going to get some justice for that?
Have you ever had anyone executed for treason in this country?
I will sit on the sidelines, right, and say, "Oh no, please don't," right? And advocate, as I should, that instead we simply sue them out of existence for the fraud they committed, right? And that we don't use this criminal justice system. I'm just curious personally, right? As I sit on the sidelines, if it were to happen and go, "Oh no, please don't stop. I mean, stop, don't, please." And I'm just curious, like, when are we going to get that?
Obviously never, but I understand your frustration.
What's more, said the Facebook executive, will remove these groups. Yada. Is this the same thing? Hold on. Oh, here we go. There's a pattern here from the Biden White House intimidating Twitter and Facebook executives into censoring legitimate findings and questions about our COVID policies. From the Biden team, one of the first meeting requests from the Biden White House was about COVID misinformation. Per regular process, public policy took the meeting. Biden staff focused on vaccines and high-profile anti-vaxxer accounts, including Alex Berenson. So if you want to read the whole Substack, here is the Substack if you want to get a greater picture. I just wanted to look at the leak and kind of talk about it. I mean, here we go. Elon Musk right at the top. Constitutional violation. I mean, the Constitution is just a piece of fucking paper that your politicians wipe their ass with on a daily basis. Oh, and by the way, every single police officer wipes their ass with it every fucking day.
And most bureaucrats.
Right? I mean, like, police also swear to uphold and defend the Constitution against enemies, both foreign and domestic, and yet they regularly violate the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, and the Eighth Amendment to the Constitution as part of department policy. So, I don't know what the Constitution means, but it sure as shit doesn't mean anything to cops, and it sure as shit doesn't mean anything to large corporations, and it sure as shit doesn't mean anything to your government. So what the fuck is this document worth?
Thankfully, we got those strong Republicans in there protecting us in Congress.
Yeah, it's a nice little fantasy land. And so we go into that to see what's in the next Twitter files. I have no idea what's in the next Twitter files.
That would be that's a great branding idea, Silver Ogre. Just make your own toilet paper and call it Constitution brand. You could even like have it novelty printed with like a little mini Constitution. There's no original ideas anymore. Yeah, go. I get it. All right, goddamn.
I figured
that one didn't get funded.
That one didn't get funded. I guarantee it's out there somewhere though, because like I've seen a lot of like Obama and Trump ones, and I was like, there's got to be Constitution toilet paper. That has to be a thing. All right, so let me zoom in so that you guys can get a better look at this, so we can react to the Twitter file. Let's see. Matt Taibbi, thread Twitter files number 14. The Russiagate lies. 1. The fake tale of Russian bots and the quote, the hashtag release the memo hashtag. At a crucial moment in a years-long furor, Democrats denounced a report about flaws in the Trump-Russia investigation, saying it was boosted by Russian bots and trolls. Okay. So this is just going to like recap a little bit of before. Twitter officials were aghast, finding no evidence of Russian influence. Quote, we're feeding congressional trolls. Quote, not any significant activity connected to Russia. Quote, putting the cart before the horse, assuming this is propaganda / bots. And so we remember from the last Twitter files, they did an exhaustive investigation and basically found 2 problematic accounts, one of which was Russia Today, that were connected to like Russia money buying ads. And I don't know if anybody needs to be told this, but a Russian news outlet is probably connected to Russian money.
It's a safe assumption to make, I think, yeah.
That'd be like, guys, we have to look for like Qatar bots and like ad accounts, and then finding out that Al Jazeera gets funding from Qatar. You know what I mean? It's like, duh. They say that openly. Twitter warned politicians and media they not only lacked evidence, but had evidence the accounts weren't Russia and were roundly ignored. Right? So this is, again, they put out reports of the 25 or 2,700 accounts that Twitter had already looked into and had found like 22 accounts that might be linked to Russia. And like 2 of them they could confirm. And one of them was Russia Today. And with the Russia Today and the other account combined, it was less than $10,000 spent on ads. Oh my God, Silverberger. Twitter warned politicians and media that they not only... Okay, sorry. Next. On January 18th, 2018, Republican Devin Nunes submitted a classified memo to the House Intel Committee detailing abuses by the FBI in obtaining FISA's surveillance authority against Trump-connected figures, including the crucial role played by the infamous Steele dossier. Yeah, I don't know if any of you guys need a refresher, right? But, you know, the Clinton campaign paid, spies to create fake documents saying that Donald Trump was in a hotel with prostitutes pissing on the bed because he heard that Obama was there, and a bunch of crazy made up shit connecting him to Russia. Then sold it, via Axios, sold it to the Clinton Foundation. They then gave that to the FBI, and the FBI, knowing that it was bought and paid for misinformation, put that forward to a FISA court so that they could get the ability to wiretap Donald Trump during the election and spy on him and try and find ways to ensure that he couldn't become president of the United States. And then Donald Trump, and what they were able to get out of that was they were able to fire people that were working for Donald Trump and start impeachment proceedings, bury him in investigations, and tie his hand as president, because the FBI actively fought against the President of the United States to ensure that he had no power to affect real change. That's not conspiracy theory. All of that is confirmed, right? Like the FBI actively made sure that they tried to limit the powers of the presidency and then worked with Democrats to ensure that Donald Trump could not push forward his agenda or be an effective president. This is also treason. There's no way around that. Whatever happened to the good old days when the FBI was rooting out communists from the State Department and telling the president? Now they're actively the communists fighting against the president. All right, I'll continue. The Nunes assertions would virtually all be verified in a report by Justice Department Inspector General Michael Horowitz in December 2019. No kidding, I want those days back. Communism sucks. Yeah, McCarthy was a hero. McCarthy did absolutely nothing wrong. And I say that as a libertarian. I say that as an anarchist. I say that as someone that is deeply does not like the idea of the House Committee on oh my God, what was the House Committee called, Mark?
Un-American Activities.
Un-American Activities House Committee, right? The House Committee on Un-American Activities. I think a lot of what they did was wrong and an abuse of power of the state. What McCarthy did was 100% righteous, moral, good, and he should be hailed as nothing but a hero. He ferreted out communists from our State Department. He fought to make that known. He fought to get rid of Dexter White. And unfortunately, he died under mysterious circumstances, just like his former Secretary of the Navy, Secretary General of the Navy, who also died in the same hospital of mysterious circumstances. Okay? Both of them unfortunately died before their time in a hospital of mysterious circumstances before they were able to get rid of people like Dexter White that went on to found the International Monetary Fund as well as the World Bank, that were known communist spies, bought and paid for, true believers of Moscow. Yeah, we need another McCarthy.
I think those days are dead and gone.
I don't know, man. You piss off the right enough, we'll get the Hatchet Act back. Will we have a better America? I mean, like, that's a scary line once you wake up the right. Because it's like, you could wake up the right just enough to clean house. Or you could, but like, they're like a fucking avalanche, man. They're like a snowball. They just keep building. You know what I mean? Like, you just as easily could just be like, yay, we got rid of the communists. And it's like, now we need price controls. Huh? Why? For the nation, for the blood, for the soil. And you're like, hey, no, you went too far. Shut up. Oh, fuck, man. Shut up before we take your business away. You have too many Jews working there. Like, waking up the right is scary. USSR collapsed under its own corruption. Yeah. I mean, you could say the Nazis collapsed under their own corruption, really.
Andre Chikatilo stole linoleum.
Nonetheless, national media in January and early February of 2018 denounced the Nunes report in oddly identical language, calling it a joke.
They weren't kidding about that heavy rain. I can hear it over my headphones.
Yeah, I can see it on the window. 2 ex-DOJ officials on Nunes memo, a bad joke. Andrea Mitchell, Nunes has turned House Intel Committee into a joke. Opinion, the Nunes memo is out. It's a joke and a sham. Ex-RNC chairman rips Nunes memo for the joke it is. The Onion is mad you're stealing their material.
Well, I'm sure they've got egg on their face now.
Yeah, they just shift the goalposts. On January 23rd, 2018, Devin Nunes, Senator Dianne Feinstein and Congressman Adam Schiff published an open letter saying the hashtag gained the immediate attention and assistance of social media accounts linked to Russian influence operations.
You mean those 3 Twitter accounts?
like the resolution's rough. I'm not going to go through that. We all remember Russia, and the lies that came out from Schiff and Pelosi and the obfuscation. The real problem is Nancy Pelosi. And the real problem, the reason I say the real problem is Nancy Pelosi is that Nancy Pelosi is if there is an argument for anyone in the United States government to be charged with high crimes and misdemeanors, right? And treason, it's Nancy Pelosi. Because Nancy Pelosi says all of these lies while sitting on the intelligence community. She's in charge of the FISA courts. She has access to this information. Understand that, right? She's also the person that was claiming that Edward Snowden was full of shit. She's also the person that was running defense on the NSA when the NSA was lying to Congress, and other Intelligence Committee Republicans were forcing them over because they can't say anything, right? Because it's top secret. So what they asked me to say, do you or have you ever collected, right, mass data on American citizens without a warrant, right? And Brennan's going, what is he saying? Not wittingly, right? And she's running defense for these people knowing that they're lying. And the Republicans know that they're lying. But the Republicans at the time, that the few that cared, because a couple of them didn't give a fuck and a couple did care. I can't remember their names. I need to go back and look it up. The few that did care were forcing them to lie to Congress over and over again and explicitly so that they could hopefully be charged with perjury or something at a later date. That's why they did that.
It won't be.
Right, but understand that that's why, like, just a little key thing, okay? Especially when you see intelligence hearings, right? And you see like one politician that is forcing someone to like explicitly state over and over again that like people weren't involved or that they did nothing wrong. The reason they're doing that is not because they want real clear information. The reason they're doing that is because they know for a fact that they're lying. And because of the classification process, they're not allowed to tell the American public. Most people don't realize this, that like congressmen have information that they're not allowed to declassify, that they don't have the authority to declassify, right? And they can't tell you about
balls and like just out it.
Yeah, but they could be charged, like they could go to jail for that.
Yeah, no, you're gonna have to fucking take one for the team, like. You know, unfortunately, none of these old men are planting trees, so nothing's going to change.
Right, but the reason I'm telling you this, right, is not like, oh, those guys are pussies. I'm telling you this to pay attention, right? So when you see certain politicians grilling the FBI about January 6th, and they're demanding to know how many FBI agents were there, and they make them give them a number, say that they don't know the number, or that they're unaware that they're involved, and they ask the question over and over again, the reason is that congressman knows how many there are and knows that the FBI was involved. I can't confirm this 100%, but that's why they ask questions like that. So when you see those things, that should like pop a little warning flag that what's likely going on is that they're aware of top secret information and they can't tell you, and they're not allowed to declassify it. So they're trying to force the person to lie. Because that's not actually revealing anything, right? If I, for example, if I'm a congressman and I know that there's 13 FBI agents that were planted with the Proud Boys, and I say, how many? Come on, come on. You're telling me there was none? Tell me there was none now, right? I'm not actually revealing any top secret information. I'm just grilling this person over and over again. But what they're doing is they're getting them to lie. So pay attention when you see somebody get real weird and real specific with questions, trying to demand explicit answers on these things. That's usually what's happening.
And also remember that they could be doing more.
Yeah. True. All right, so moving on with Twitter files. Feinstein Schiff said the Nunes memo distorts classified information, but note they didn't call it incorrect. Right. It distorts information. It's misinformation, right? Harmful misinformation. But they'll never explicitly say it's incorrect, because then they might get, called out for that.
That's a government way of just being like, well, I wouldn't say it that way, so it's wrong.
Connecticut Senator Richard Blumenthal followed suit, publishing a letter saying, quote, "We find it reprehensible that Russian agents have so eagerly manipulated innocent Americans." So we all remember Russia.
All the citizens cross the line that the CIA. Fuck off.
Restart.
Stop. What about all the different populations the CIA has influenced? Like, do you feel that that's reprehensible?
Sorry, first time here. I mean, of course, it's a double-edged sword. Sorry, first time here. You don't have to apologize. But also, it could be a congressperson simply trying to distract, no knowledge of anything, but want to have everyone look left while they zag right. Absolutely.
This isn't a Kansas City shuffle.
I'm just saying, maybe I was a little too explicit with it. What I'm saying is your alarm bell should ring, because that's a sign that they might be doing that. It also absolutely could be a distraction, right? It also could be that they know that it's not true, but their base is demanding answers to conspiracy theories that aren't true. And so they're trying to make it seem like they're the good guy, pressing it to them. You see this shit with Ted Cruz all the time, right? Ted Cruz he'll play to his base and demand answers on censorship and things like that, but he doesn't give a fuck. So there's a lot of variables here. I'm just saying that sometimes when you see things like that, it's because they're trying to get them to explicitly lie. Scale of 1 to 10 of Biden going to jail? Yeah,
I'd say -10.
Right? I want to be fair and I want to be objective. I want to actually use a scale of 1 to 10. The answer is 1. Unless it's a 0 to 10 scale. Then it's 0.
But what if we're playing by Drakensang rules?
Then it would be a 10. Sorry, Kyle. Feinstein, Schiff, Blumenthal, and media members all pointed to the same source. The Hamilton 68 dashboard created by former FBI counterintelligence official Clint Watts under the auspices of the Alliance for Securing Democracy.
I wonder how many agencies are involved in that little program. Such a lazy name, too. It's literally 3. It's just the ASD keys on your keyboard. Oh, how lazy.
This is how I feel when I hear the Alliance for Securing Democracy from a NGO that is, receiving direct funds from the state. That's how. This is all I can think of. It's like when you see like the Alliance for Securing Democracy and a fucking spook is running it and getting state funds, your tax-paying dollars, you know exactly what this is. It's the exact opposite. Just like the Patriot Act. Just like the Fair Trade Tax. Just like fucking what's some other really good bills that are like named? Oh, Voting Rights Act. The Voting Rights Act that forces courts for gerrymandering to all be done in DC and completely rewrites the entire judicial system that America has had forever since its founding. Obviously there's a Warren Court and expansion of powers and stuff like that, but presumably, right, like an appellate court holds jurisdiction in its area, right? But no, that's the Voting Rights Act. The Infrastructure Bill. The Inflation Reduction Act, which is full of things that cause inflation.
That's the one I was thinking of.
No Child Left Behind, another great one. The dashboard, which featured a crude picture of Vladimir Putin deviously blowing evil red Twitter birds into the atmosphere was vague in how it reached its conclusions. You don't say. You know what's really interesting about this? This feels very Soviet art. Doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. It has a really strong, like, 70 or what would that be? 60s communist propaganda posters.
Yeah, like if we look at it,
Cold War era for sure, though.
yeah, like it gives me a very like Soviet propaganda art.
Hey, thanks for the Prime sub.
Oh, awesome. Dude, I fucking love Prime subs. Like, don't get me wrong, I love gifted subs when we get like a 20 gifted sub bomb or something. But when I get a Prime sub, I feel so much better. Because like you only get one of those. Right? I don't know how much money you have. Maybe you're a millionaire, maybe you're poor. I don't really want to know, right? You know what I mean? But like when you have a Prime sub, I don't care that it's free because you have Amazon Prime. I care that you only get one and you chose to give it to me. At least for this month, and I appreciate that. Like I feel all warm and cuddly when I get one of those.
It's a nice feeling.
Like if we look at like Soviet propaganda posters, corporate. Just real quick. Hold on. Real quick, guys. Corporate wants to ask you the difference between these two posters. They're the same picture.
Like, they are really shockingly close.
You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. That just gives me a weird fucking feeling when I see this. I'm like, I don't know, man. Something's not right with this photo. I don't got bits for Wellspring's favorite song. You guys are taking away my anger.
Ronald Reagan.
I get angry about this stuff, very unhealthy, but for some reason you guys being angry makes me feel better. Oh, I appreciate that.
It's because you know you're not alone.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe that's what it is. There's a sense of community. And you know what you could really do to join the community? Fuck that. Come hang out in the Discord.
Speaking of community,
there's almost 500 people in the Discord, and there's debate bros, and there's communists, and there's a lot of craziness, but, you know, you should join the Discord. So the hearts are the bombs, right? No, they're little Twitter birds. Yeah. Inside Twitter, executives panned Watts, Hamilton 68, and the Alliance for Securing Democracy. Two key complaints. Hamilton 68 seemed to be everyone's only source, and no one was checking with Twitter. Quote, I encourage you to be skeptical of Hamilton 68's take on this, which as far as I can tell is the only source for these stories, said Global Policy Communications Chief and future White House and NSC spokesperson Emily Horn. Gotta love that revolving door between the state and large corporations, right?
Funny how that works.
Oh! What you want a label that says that OxyContin has been shown to be less addictive than other traditional opioids? Oh, okay, we'll give that to you. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Can I get a job making $400K a year next year, Purdue Pharma? Oh, thanks for that job. That in no way, shape, or form influenced influenced the way that I regulated you as a company.
Oh, what's that? We're going to change the label and make it where you're now able to be prescribed indefinitely? How could that go wrong?
Don't worry, it's a black box label. It won't increase the opioid epidemic at all. Doctors will never fucking keep making money.
Or getting addicted.
Right, or getting addicted themselves, yeah. They've made a very strong media push in the last week, piggybacking on Clint's testimony. Yeah, I mean, like, it's all bullshit. Is apparently what this is saying. Which, I mean, we knew that from the beginning. I'm just imagining sock puppets of drug companies. Hello, Purdue Pharma. Why, hello. I'm the pure white government. All the swirl is based on Hamilton, said Trust and Safety Chief Yoel Roth.
Like the play?
No,
or musical.
The group was called. What the fuck? Are you not paying attention? Hamilton 68. That's what we've been talking about.
Oh, it went right over my head.
Another thought is now the time we go public with the fact that that any given user only accounts once towards a trend. The fuck? Given all the swirl around hashtag release the memo is based on Hamilton, which is based on raw tweet count, we'd be able to broadly refute it without actually sharing anything too sensitive. I'd suggest something along the lines of, yada, yada, yada. If ASD isn't going to fact check with us, we should feel free to correct the record on their work, said VP Carlos Monye. I love this too. We should reach out privately to maintain the relationship. It's all fucking pats on the back. Roth couldn't find any Russian connection to release the memo at all. I just reviewed the accounts that posted the first 50 tweets with release the memo, and none of them show any signs of affiliation to Russia.
But this whole thing felt like a Russian psyop.
Right? Except, meanwhile, they're actively supporting American psyops and getting paid millions of dollars to do it. We investigated, found that engagement is overwhelmingly organic and driven by VITs, very important tweeters, including WikiLeaks and Congressman Steve King. Oh. Interesting. So these Russia accounts that we need to get rid of are people that just happen to be retweeting a lot of WikiLeaks, which just happens to be, a place where people are dumping government documents and whistleblowers to try and stop the government from doing corrupt things. I don't know how many of you guys are like Gen Xers, boomers, or at least like millennials, right? But like I'm a millennial, right? I'm 32 years old. I remember when Julian Assange was a hero to the left. Do you guys remember that? Do you guys remember when Julian Assange was posting information about, torture and abuse in Guantanamo Bay, and when they were posting information about soldiers raping women and Marine companies rolling up into villages and just fucking up everybody indiscriminately and committing war crimes. And the left was like, fuck yeah, fuck Bush. You guys remember that? You're not speaking. You're not holding. I don't know. I'm lighting up.
Yeah, I don't know why it keeps freaking out.
No, Discord sucks sometimes. I'm sure that's why people like to use Streamlabs, but Streamlabs is still not as convenient as Discord, even if it has slightly less issues.
You mean?
Are you talking or are you just choking right now?
No, I'm noticing that I'm pushing the button down to talk. Oh, there we go. It finally kicked on. My push to talk is glitching out.
Okay. Surprised me how fast they turned. Almost whiplash. Yeah, I mean, Julian Assange was a fucking hero, and he maintained that hero status until the moment he posted information about the Clinton emails. Overnight, they were like, Julian Assange is a traitor. It's so weird. The shift of wokeism was such a brilliant fucking thing. I really want to see, I really want to find somebody that does really, really good research and is a really good video essayist on YouTube. And I would love to work with them to help them comb through, because I'm just not a great video essayist. I've got a couple of videos and I plan on putting some more on YouTube. But I would love to work with someone and help someone out to talk about how before the financial collapse, the left was very anti-war and anti-corporation. And the way that corporations, ESG, Klaus Schwab, stakeholder capitalism, and Twitter accounts from Nike and, rainbow capitalism was able to so very quickly turn the left into a pro-corporation, pro-big government, pro pro-war party. Because the left is currently pro-war, pro-corporation, pro-big government. They were always pro-big government, but it was always ostensibly to regulate the corporations. And they kind of still parrot that, but it's all of the things they advocate for give corporations larger power and help fund wars. Stakeholder socialism. I mean, I have no problem with saying stakeholder capitalism, just like I have no problem with saying trans women. When people people get mad at me because they're like, well, they're not a woman. And it's like, well, yeah, but there's a fucking modifier there that clearly says that that it's different. I will never call trans women women, but I have no problem calling trans women, right? Because there's a moniker there, you know what I mean? There's an extra name added that lets us know that it's a different type of thing. It's just saying it's similar to in some capacity, or that it's changed from, or that it's slightly different than.
Or modified.
Yeah, or modified. I have no problem with stakeholder capitalism because it's not capitalism. I had no opinion except hippies are weird until Undertale, which I opposed war. Not because of Undertale, I just remembered when. I need more of this story. Is it Undertale?
I guess whatever year Undertale the game launched is when he became anti-war.
Right, I was about to say, isn't Undertale the story of a little mouse? A video game with a little mouse? I need to go buy Undertale now. I want to buy it. It's been on my wish list for a while. All right, moving forward. A staffer for Diffie, whatever that means, Feinstein, agreed it would be, quote, helpful to know how Hamilton 68 goes by, quote, the process by which they decide an account is Russian. But only after Feinstein published her letter about Russian influence. She agreed that it would be helpful to know this info. So she agreed that she has no idea what she's talking about. All right, Roger. When Twitter spoke to Blumenthal's staffer, they tried to wave him off because we don't believe these are bots. Dude, the more we see about this, the more we realize that Twitter did all of this shit under duress.
Until they weren't.
But they didn't. They were. They were under duress the entire fucking time. Now, can we make a moral judgment from a virtue ethicist position that they were pussies and that they should have fought back against it? They should have gone public. They should have called these things out, as Elon Musk is currently doing by releasing all of this? Yeah. You know what I mean? We can make that moral judgment about them. Call them cowards. Because that's what they are. They're fucking cowards. All of them. Yoel Roth, Crowley, all of them. And some of them are far worse than cowards, such as the FBI spook, you know what I mean, that worked at Twitter, to work with the FBI. But I don't think we could say that they were never under duress, given all the information they have. Would you agree to that? Maybe that approximation, that we can call them cowards and immoral for it, but that they were definitely under duress?
That works, sure. That works, sure. I'm gonna hang up real quick and completely close out Discord and see if that fixes this.
Oh yeah, fair enough. I heard him the first time. I know you guys did too, chat. I was just taking a sip of drink, but hopefully this fixes the fuckery. All right, so Matt Taibbi, 21, added another. It might be worth nudging Blumenthal's staffer that it could be in his boss's best interest not to go out there because it could come back to make him look silly. These people are actively trying to work behind the scenes to stop this shit. The problem is that sunlight is the best disinfectant, right? They should have gone, They were cowards. Like I said, they should have gone forward to the American public, to the press, and been like, this is all conspiracy theory shit. But the other thing is that you have to think that Twitter is designed to make a profit, right? And so, I mean, like, look at Elon Musk. Elon Musk is going up against the woke corporations and the status quo in the state, and Twitter is being massively devalued despite having way more users, right? Because so many people are pulling out. Because this is, right? So, like, if they have a fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders, like, that certainly plays a role in working with these people behind the scenes instead of going to, like, the New York Post and being like, look at this shit.
All right, that seems to have fixed it. Nice.
Hell yeah. But it is interesting that that they're, like, trying to be like, hey, let's play the game. And hopefully these people will shut the fuck up because they're full of shit. One Twitter executive even tried to negotiate, implying an undisclosed future PR concession if Blumenthal would lay off on this. Quote, it seems like there are other wins we could offer him. So people are trying to quid pro quo themselves out of this conspiracy theory that all of these Democrats are running because they can't get over the fact that, like, they didn't fortify the election enough to steal the election from Donald Trump the first time.
Interesting.
Blumenthal published his letter anyway. Executives eventually grew frustrated over what they saw as a circular process, presented with claims of Russian activity, even when denied, led to more claims. They expressed this explicitly to Blumenthal's camp, saying, quote, Twitter spent a lot of resources on this request, and the reward from Blumenthal shouldn't be round after round of requests. We can't do a user notice each time this happens. It's like, dude, you are making us.
I mean, they really are trying.
They're like, dude, you keep making us waste resources looking for a fucking needle in a haystack to support a conspiracy theory that you have. And you know what's kind of funny? I know I'm going to go full-blown consequentialist here, all right? But I'm going to go conservative consequentialist, or what I like to call modern conservatives, family values consequentialists. For every dollar that they spent on this is a dollar that they couldn't spend looking for pedophiles and child porn.
Let that sink in.
I'm just saying, every single bit of pressure from the state to, like, that you've got to fucking go after this situation is a dollar that you're not able to actually work on things that are, I don't know, fucking important and true. Kitchen table consequentialist. Dude, I am stealing that. Holy fuck, I'm stealing that. There's no IP here. I am stealing kitchen table consequentialist. I don't know when I'm going to be able to use that, but at some point in time, I will be in a debate with a conservative and be like, and call him a kitchen table consequentialist.
You'll probably be able to.
Yeah.
Never mind. I can't think of any debates coming up that will work for.
I don't know. Maybe that Liberty chick on Monday. Who knows? It's not
Don't
like
tell them how that's going to go.
I have no idea how that debate on Monday is going to go. I imagine it's going to be wild. All right. Moving on. Eventually, Twitter staff realized Blumenthal isn't looking for real and nuanced solutions, but just wants to get credit for pushing us further. You don't say. Politicians.
Wow. Who'd have thunk it?
Don't give a fuck about any of the moral causes they campaign, but instead just want to be seen as the heroic figure fighting the good fight. Ultimately, senior executives talked about, quote, feeding congressional trolls and compared their situation to children's book, quote, if you give a mouse a cookie. Dude, this is
like that, though.
It's like, this is like some Wellspring level of talking shit, right? Like, it's like, if you give a mouse a cookie. This has become if you give a mouse a cookie with members of Congress children's books reference. One suggestion, we could do a letter that could be made public with an attachment that we ask they keep confidential. The attachment to explain the the protections on trends. Sharing too much of this gives abusers a blueprint on how to avoid detection. It's not a bad idea. He's just showing that if you give a mouse a cookie. In this story, if you give a mouse a cookie, he'll want a glass of milk, which will lead to a wave of other exhausting requests, at the end of which he'll want a glass of milk and one more cookie. The metaphor for the endless Russia requests was so perfect, one executive wrote, quote, "I'm legit embarrassed I didn't think of that first," end quote.
Everyone is.
Despite universal internal conviction that there were no Russians in the story, Twitter went on to follow a slavish pattern of not challenging Russia claims on the record. Outside counsel from DC-connected firms like Debbie Voice and Plimpton advised Twitter to use language like, quote, "With respect to particular hashtags, we take seriously any activity that may represent an abuse of our platform," end quote.
Except all the porn.
Is that the last one? Can't be the last one. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I mean, of course, right? Like, because if they come out, like, they're pussies. They're cowards. They can't just say, no, you're making up bullshit. This isn't happening. Because they know that they'll just make up more bullshit and then accuse them of all kinds of shit and then try and fine them or sue them or, like, impose additional regulations on them because the state can do that. If they just say, no, you're making up bullshit, they're going to be like, Hamilton 68, ASD. You know what I mean? Like this and this. We have documents and proof that this is happening and you're doing nothing. Why are you working for Russia? Like they have no choice.
Jones of senators. I've got the documents.
Oh, yeah, I've got the documents. But, like, at the very least, I don't know. I don't know what I would do in this situation. It's very clear that Elon Musk knows what he's going to do in this situation and says, go fuck yourself.
He's going to write a very specific will.
Better idea, rewrite it if you give a mouse a cookie as Ayn Rand sees it.
If you give a mouse a cookie, that is altruism, which is evil, and you are stupid.
As a result,
Right.
It don't all land with me personally. Chat might enjoy it. As a result, reporters from the AP, to Politico to NBC to Rolling Stone continue to hammer the Russian bots theme despite a total lack of evidence. Obviously. Russians weren't just blamed for hashtag release the memo, but the Schumer shutdown, Parkland shooting, even gun control now to widen the divide, according to New York Times. Yeah, of course. Of course, they're just making up bullshit. I think it's really important. What is that effect called? It's when you're like an expert on something and the news media reports on it and like you realize that they got everything wrong, and then the moment you're not an expert on something, you just assume the news got it right.
I know what you're talking about, but I don't remember the
specific
word. I want to call it the Doppler effect, and I know it's not that. I know it's like the reason motorcycles are loud.
The reason motorcycles are loud might be the worst explanation of the Doppler effect that's technically true. Like,
explain science badly.
Yeah, like that was definitely an explain science badly moment. It's like I mean, kinda. Like, I don't know. It's something law. I don't remember. I just don't remember what the law is. But it's like when you're a gamer, you can tell that like Kotaku's terrible, and then you're like, well, Kotaku must just be terrible. The New York Times really has accurate information on the Iraq War. And it's like, no, dipshit. They're all fucking full of shit and have no idea what they're talking about.
No, but the New York Times, they have standards and a staff.
They used to be fair. If you were going to write a major story, it used to be you had to have 2 unconfirmed sources and 1 source that was named. Now, you can run a story with 1 source that's unnamed, and that source can be familiar with the president's thinking, which means we asked a leftist professor that like studies political science what he thinks.
Hi, my name's Chad. I watched all of Lie to Me, so I'm kind of an expert on facial tics.
Right.
I can tell he's lying.
Kotaku taught me that I'm a Nazi. No wonder you're so attractive, Andy. Nazis were good looking. Give them that.
I mean, they had sharp uniforms. That's about it.
Sharp uniforms, dope-ass haircuts, sick-ass dueling scars.
You know something interesting about those scars? They would stuff them with horsehair to make them more exaggerated because, like, they like the aesthetic.
It was like a super common thing with like SS officers and high-ranking people, rich people being like, I got this dueling. I mean, like, who the fuck does dueling, anyways? You know what I mean? Except for fucking rich people at the time.
Interesting that you love that look so much.
I love that look so much. Maybe it's because I play too many female characters in a video game and I always give them scars.
You like to play rogue.
I like to, I'm just saying, I don't know why. I just always make like a sexy female and then I'm like, what's the cherry on top? A dope ass facial scar that almost took out her eye. I don't know what that says about me, chat. It's just, I'm just being honest.
You like a lass who's lived a life.
Motorcycles are loud because, oh my God, no. It's basically a university frat boy thing with the dueling. Yeah, but university frat boy thing means something different today where like the average IQ of someone that has an undergraduate degree is 100.4. Okay. Just in case you weren't here yesterday, if someone brags about their psychology or sociology degree, what they're saying is, I belong to a group of people that are below average intelligence.
I only have a high school diploma. And what does that say about me?
That category is like 95.3 or something.
Oof.
Mm-hmm. Just throwing that out there, right? So, just letting you know. But like, yeah, back then, it was fucking like only intelligent rich people went to college. Nevertheless, back onto the Russia story. Jesus Christ, this stream is so ADHD. I love you guys for being a part of the process. Schumer shut down and released the memo. The internal guidance was both hashtags appear to be organically trending. Yeah, I mean, like, duh. NBC, Politico, AP, Times, Business Insider, and other media outlets who played up the Russian bot story, even Rolling Stone. Why even Rolling Stone? Like, was Rolling Stone supposed to be like the arbiter of truth? These are the people that reported the fucking mattress girl rape story and the Duke lacrosse team story. Like,
I think it's just to show like how far like the story went, like how many.
Yeah, all right. Oh,
how unrelated to the story, like it got picked up.
I thought IQ tests were kind of bullshit because they only measure one type of intelligence. I've been listening to too many leftists. IQ is incredibly predictive. Now, does it measure G factor at a 1-to-1 ratio? No. Right? But like this idea of like emotional intelligence, that's made up lefty bullshit. Kinesthetic intelligence appears to be a thing, except it tracks with IQ, as does musical intelligence. Like all the other forms of intelligence correlate pretty strongly with IQ. There's this idea of like, and we all know somebody like this idea of like, you know, a mechanic that's stupid, but like really good with his hands in the car. And it's like, no, he's uneducated and really educated with cars. That's why he's like that. He's probably smarter than your average person. And you just look down on him and think he's stupid because he says things like, the Civil War, that didn't really happen, right? Like, and then you're like, holy shit, you're retarded. And it's like, no, he dropped out of high school and like doesn't listen to history podcasts because he's obsessed with cars and that's what he likes and that's what he learned a bunch of shit on. And lo and behold, he sounds stupid, but he's smarter than average. Is there a name like Myers-Briggs? Myers-Briggs, like a name for what? Like emotional intelligence or what? Nope. What's the best type of IQ test? Oh no, IQ is a metric, right? Intelligence quotient. Like there's multiple different IQ. Don't send people to the mensa.org. That's a bullshit IQ test. The only appropriate IQ test that you can do is there's a couple of companies in America at least, right, that administer these tests and require that psychologists and in some states counselors, but usually just psychologists, right, train and have to go through a bunch of training in order to be able to accurately do this. And it needs to be a multiple day process where you sit down with a trained psychologist. That's an accurate IQ test. Internet IQ tests and shit like that, those are fun and they may correlate to some degree, but they're not a real IQ test. And Myers-Briggs is bullshit, by the way, too.
No, it's totally accurate. I took it. It told me I was an INTP, and I read it, and I was like, wow, this is spot on to who I am. Except all those things that I disagree with.
No, like all those personality tests, like those work personality, or like what type of worker are you, or what field of what field of study should you go? All of those are bullshit. They're made by shitty psychologists that couldn't get tenured professor positions in fucking academia, and also couldn't work for big companies. So instead they go into corporate America making up bullshit to sell corporations to give to people, or to sell different fucking school systems, etc. And they play up the idea that it's worth something, and it's fucking meaningless and worthless. There's only two types of personality tests that seem to have any efficacy: the big five personality traits and attachment theory. That's it. Anything else that tests what type of personality you are, it's probably bullshit, or it's like new or understudied.
So what you're saying is Myers-Briggs for the win. Got it.
I'm saying Myers-Briggs is bullshit. And when some girl, like when some girl tells you she's an INTJ, I want you to take that with the same level of seriousness when she says I'm a Pisces, because they have the same value. The only reason that Myers-Briggs is respected a little bit is because it tests extroversion, introversion, and that's a real personality domain. Extroversion, introversion is a real personality domain, and it's one of the 5 parts of the big 5 personality traits.
I am 96th percentile in introversion.
That makes you 4 percentile in extroversion. There's no introversion isn't a scale.
Whatever.
Can you guess how introverted I am, chat?
He's not.
I'm 98% extroversion.
It's a problem when we go out in public because we are so diametrically different.
If you put me in a room of 100 people, there's one person there that likes to talk more than me. And that person's name is Rob Knorr.
And they will find each other, and the rest of the party will go on without them.
Sorry, Rob Knorr, I had to do you dirty like that, but it's true. You're the only person on Twitch I've met that's more extroverted and long-winded than I am. Perfectly balanced as all things should be. I'm just saying. Moving forward. And even Rolling Stone all declined to comment for this story. Of course, they all declined to comment. The staffs of Feinstein, Schiff, Blumenthal also declined to comment. Who did comment? Devin Nunes. Quote, Schiff and the Democrats falsely claim Russians were behind the release of the memo hashtag all my investigative work ... by spreading the Russia collusion hoax. They oh my God, it's getting to that time of night. They instigated one of the greatest outbreaks of mass delusion in U.S. history, end quote. What short memories we have. I don't know that it's one of the greatest outbreaks of mass delusion in U.S. history.
I mean, I feel like there was one pretty recently that feels like it might have slapped a little harder.
What's a recent one? Which one do you got?
I was just thinking, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks.
15 days to slow the spread?
Yeah.
That's a pretty big one. And recent. But I'm just saying, like there was some mass hysteria, with like, mass delusion with like, I don't know, slavery. That was a pretty mass delusion. Give you that one,
Jim Crow.
Yeah, it was a pretty mass delusion. I don't know. We'll keep going. Dynamic duo, but not a Batman and Robin type.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't think we're anything like Batman and Robin.
For one, I'm not a small boy wearing basically bikini briefs.
Also, I'm not like Batman at all.
He's not.
I'm not rich. I'm not an orphan. In fact, I have more than 2 parents. You know. However, while I was working at Burger King when The Dark Knight came out as a teenager. And one of my favorite things that I used to love to do was on the headset, I would imitate Batman when people ordered food. And so people would come in, they'd be like, you know, most people would be like, hey, you know, welcome to Burger King. Can I get your order? And every time the intercom would come in, it'd be like, welcome to Burger King. Can I get your order? And then they'd be like, yeah, can I get like a Whopper with cheese? I want no onions. And as soon as they would like change their order, Burger King's slogan was supposed to be have it your way. And instead I would change it to everyone has a choice. So I'd be like, at Burger King, everyone has a choice. And they'd be like, okay. And they'd come up to the window. And then when they came up to the window, I would just talk like normal, right? Like totally normal. And if they mention anything, I'm like, yeah, the intercom, it messes up sometimes, whatever. And they'd be like, oh, okay, right? And like, I'd put them at ease. And then like, as soon as they would drive away, I would like say goodbye, like right as they're driving, I'd be like, you have a good night. And they'd be like, I fucking knew it. And I would just like walk away and just leave them at the window, make them drive off with no one there. Oh man. Would have loved working drive-through with you. Oh, I appreciate it. Yeah, like I used to love to do that all the time. It was fun.
When I was working at the restaurant, I just ate a lot of turkey and Hawaiian rolls.
Dude, I used to do a lot of fun stuff working for Burger King. I remember one of the times. So I used to work with like a lot of like
Usually, oh, you go first.
I used to work with a lot of low socioeconomic status Black Americans. Okay, it's the most PC way that I can put that. And many of them like to fuck with me working late at night. And the way that they would fuck with me is they would like to sing very racist, aggressive gangster rap, talking about like mostly killing cops and killing whitey. And they would loudly rap along to this while like doing the dishes. And like, it was very obvious that they were trying to make me uncomfortable and fuck with me. And so what I did is I made sure that I memorized the song Transformation from Jekyll and Hyde the musical. So that I could sit back there washing the dishes with my headphones in when they were doing other things and be like, I will live on forever. And like look at him and be like, with Satan himself by my side. And like forever remember, the name to remember is Dr. Jekyll. And like, and I would like grin like during like the refrain where it's like a heartbeat, and I'd walk around making the heartbeat noise like, Lucy, my dear, come here, Lucy, and just like look at them, and they stopped. They stopped singing racist anti-white gangster rap at me.
So when I was in the Army, what I liked to do was be the reverse. Or, like, I would do what you did, except from the customer side. But I would be a flamboyant, effeminate gentleman. Especially if I was in the passenger seat and whoever was driving ordered first, and they're like, hey, what do you like? Go ahead and do your order, man. I'm like, oh, hello, how are you today? And I just really get into it and always piss off whoever was driving me.
Okay. So what you're saying is, in Georgia, it's still funny to be a homophobe. Got it.
This was not in Georgia. This was up in Washington.
Oh. All right. Homophobia is alive and well, chat, and Mark is making sure that it continues.
I was not, derogatory towards those people.
Yeah, you just made them uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, I always made the whoever was on the other side of the intercom laugh.
One of the things that I like to do is when I have friends come from out of town is I like to drive into a really populated Walmart, roll down the windows, put the window lock on, and blast Rack City on the speakers if it's a white person that's with me, and just slowly drive through the parking lot with the speakers all the way up. Just rack city, bitch, rack cities, bitch. 10, 20s on them titties, bitch. And just drive around. That or, oh fuck, what is, the guy from Outkast, the, not the skinny guy.
Big Boy?
Big Boy. He has a song, oh fuck, I can't remember it. I'd have to look it up. But we're going to get back to Twitter files. I don't know what to tell you, man. I'm ADHD as fuck. You're along for the ride, and I appreciate you guys being here. This has to be almost over anyways. This Release the Memo episode is just one of many in Twitter files. Yada, yada, yada. Ignore the absence of data to fictional scare headlines. For more, all the lovely people, except for Barry Weiss. Fuck off, Barry Weiss. Twitter had no editorial input on this story. Searches were carried out by third parties, so the documents could be limited. You just watched a clip from our Twitch channel, Fabian Liberty. If you like content like this, please like and subscribe here on YouTube, or go ahead and give us a follow on twitch.tv/Fabian Liberty.